He's inviting you into intimate relationship instead of institutional performance. Will you walk through? The choice is yours. But please don't wait. Don't assume you have unlimited time to decide. The prophetic signs are happening now. The spiritual awakening is available now. The freedom is offered now. If this vision resonated with your spiritual journey, if something in your spirit recognized the truth of what I've shared, I need you to do something. Share this message with someone who's imprisoned by religion, someone who's going through the motions but missing the relationship, someone who needs to hear that freedom is available. Leave a comment below telling me if this connected with where you are spiritually. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to make the choice for freedom. And if you're not already part of this community, subscribe now. Because this isn't just a channel, this is a gathering place for people who are choosing liberation over captivity, who are choosing Jesus over religion, who are walking through the door of freedom. This isn't my message. I'm just the messenger. This is his message. Jesus Christ, the one who breaks chains and sets captives free, and he's calling you home, not to an institution, not to a building, not to religious performance. He's calling you home to himself. Choose him. I was clinically dead for 7 minutes and 43 seconds. What I discovered about eye scans and biometric technology during that time will shake everything you think you know about the future of humanity. My name is Dr. Elena Markov. I'm a quantum physicist, 41 years old. For 2 decades, I built systems that measure reality at its most fundamental level: particles, probabilities, the mechanics of existence itself. I believed in equations, in data, in what could be proven and replicated under laboratory conditions. I never believed in near-death experiences. I thought they were hallucinations, oxygen-starved neurons firing random patterns as the brain shut down, stories people told themselves to cope with mortality. But what happened to me on March 14th, 2025, changed everything I thought I knew about consciousness, about reality, and about what's really happening right now, with technology like WorldCoin's eye-scanning systems rolling out across the planet. It started like any ordinary Thursday morning. I was driving to my lab at the Advanced Quantum Research Institute in Geneva. Spring was breaking through the Swiss winter. The road was still wet from overnight rain. I remember thinking about a grant proposal I needed to finish, about my daughter's upcoming birthday, about whether I'd remembered to turn off the coffee maker. I didn't see the truck until it was too late. The impact felt like being hit by a freight train made of lightning. Metal screaming, glass shattering, my body thrown against the steering wheel with a force that stopped my heart instantly. I found out later that the initial trauma severed my aortic valve. My brain was without oxygen for almost 8 minutes. But here's the thing that defies everything I used to believe about neuroscience and physics. I didn't lose consciousness. Instead, I became more conscious than I'd ever been in my entire life. The first thing I noticed was silence, not the absence of sound, but a silence so complete it felt like a presence, like the universe taking a breath. My vision shifted, and suddenly I wasn't in my car anymore. I was above it, looking down at the wreckage, at my body slumped over the steering wheel, blood streaming from a gash on my forehead. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How was it possible that I was still conscious when my body was clearly not functioning? My scientific training kicked in. I tried to rationalize it. Some kind of dissociative episode, a neurological trick. But the clarity was too sharp, too precise. This wasn't hallucination. I could see every detail with impossible resolution. The way the airbag had deployed, the spiderweb pattern of cracks across the windshield, the coffee I'd spilled across the passenger seat, a paramedic rushing toward my car, his radio crackling with urgent voices. And then everything changed. I felt myself being pulled, not physically, but through a dimension I'd never experienced before, like being drawn through a doorway that existed in a direction my mind had no words for. Space itself seemed to bend around me. A light appeared, But not light like anything I'd studied in my lab, not photons bouncing off surfaces. This was light that had consciousness, light that knew me, that saw every thought I'd ever had, every choice I'd made, every moment of fear or courage or doubt. I wasn't stepping on ground. I was gliding through space. There was no friction, no weight, no limits. The light intensified, not in brightness but in presence, until I realized I was standing in front of a figure. Jesus. I know how that sounds. Believe me, I understand the skepticism because I lived in that skepticism for 41 years. But when you're standing in front of a being whose presence feels like coming home after a lifetime of wandering, you don't question the physics. You just know. His eyes. I'll never forget his eyes. They held galaxies, they held every possible timeline and every version of myself I'd never become. And they held love so complete it made me realize I'd never truly understood what that word meant. He didn't speak with sound. The communication was direct, thought to thought, soul to soul. And what he showed me first was not what I expected. He showed me my life, not as a simple playback, but as a living experience where I felt everything from multiple perspectives simultaneously. Every moment carried weight and meaning I'd never noticed when I was living through it. I saw myself as a child, hiding in my room with physics books, using science to make sense of a world that felt chaotic and frightening after my parents' divorce. I felt my mother's pain at not being able to reach me. I experienced the loneliness I'd caused myself by building walls of equations and logic. I saw myself in graduate school, dismissing a colleague who tried to share her faith, rolling my eyes at what I considered superstition. I felt her hurt, her genuine desire to connect, my own fear of vulnerability masquerading as intellectual superiority. I saw myself with my daughter, Elena Jr., working late nights at the lab instead of reading her bedtime stories, choosing research over presence. I felt her confusion, her quiet belief that Mommy's work was more important than she was. Wave after wave of emotions crashed over me. Shame, regret, the crushing weight of all the moments I'd chosen safety over love, certainty over connection, proof over faith. I wanted to collapse under it, to disappear into the overwhelming evidence of my own flawed humanity. But then Jesus looked at me, and his voice carried the very sound of eternity itself. Elena, you are forgiven. Your past is not who you are now. It's the soil you grew from, but it doesn't define the fruit you'll bear. Peace washed through me, an absolute peace that silenced every equation in my mind, every anxious calculation about worth and performance and whether I was enough. In that peace, I understood something profound. Everything I'd spent my career trying to prove through quantum mechanics, he was showing me directly. We're not separate beings bumping through an indifferent universe. We're all connected. Every thought, every choice, every moment of kindness or cruelty ripples through the fabric of existence itself. And then his presence shifted. The atmosphere changed. The light around us took on a different quality, more urgent, more grave. There's something humanity doesn't understand about what's coming, he said. Something you need to see. The space around me transformed. I was still standing with Jesus, but now I could see Earth below us, not from orbit, but as if I was viewing it through dimensions beyond three-dimensional space. I could see past, present, and future overlapping like transparent sheets of reality stacked on top of each other. Jesus gestured, and my awareness zoomed into a city. People walking down streets, but they weren't just walking. They were stopping at stations, kiosks, sleek silver machines with orb-like scanners, eye scans. I watched person after person step up to these devices. A light would flash, a scan would complete, and something would change. Not in the physical realm, but in a realm I could now perceive clearly. It was like watching invisible threads being connected. Person to machine, machine to network, network to something else. something ancient and malevolent that existed in the spiritual dimensions I'd never believed in. World coin, Jesus said, and the word carried layers of meaning beyond its surface. It's already beginning. They're calling it progress, universal basic income, financial inclusion, proving you're human in an age of AI. I saw the technology spreading. 2 billion people registered, then 3 billion. Children receiving scans before they could consent. Refugees desperate for aid, lining up to exchange their biometric data for survival. But look deeper, Elena. Look with the eyes I've given you now. I focused, and horror flooded through me. Every scan was creating a binding, not just in databases and blockchains, but in the spiritual realm. Each person who submitted to the eye scan was creating a point of access, a doorway, a claim. And on the other side of those doorways, something was waiting. Something that had been waiting for millennia. Ancient intelligences that humans called demons, but which I now understood were far more organized and purposeful than our folklore suggested. They were coordinating, building infrastructure in the invisible realms that mirrored the technological infrastructure being built on Earth. This is how it begins, Jesus said, and his voice carried infinite sadness. Not with a dramatic announcement, not with an obvious mark stamped on foreheads. It starts with convenience, with solutions to real problems, with technology that promises security and efficiency and progress. I watched the timelines unfold, saw the WorldCoin network integrate with other systems, digital IDs, central bank digital currencies, social credit scores, health passports, each piece seemingly reasonable on its own, each solving legitimate problems, but together they were building something else entirely. A global system of control, so comprehensive that within a generation, no one would be able to buy or sell, to work or travel, to access healthcare or education or banking without being part of the network. And embedded in that network, woven through every line of code and every biometric database, would be spiritual architecture designed to harvest humanity's divine spark, to separate people from their connection to the Creator, to claim souls through consent disguised as convenience. The mark of the beast, Jesus said. Your scriptures warned about it, but most people are looking for something obvious. A literal mark on the right hand or forehead. They're not seeing what's happening right now in 2025, with eye scans and digital wallets and biometric registries. He turned to me, and his eyes held both urgency and hope. Elena, you're going to return, you're going to live, and you need to understand what I'm about to show you, because humanity is standing at a threshold. The technology exists now to fulfill prophecies written thousands of years ago. But most people don't recognize it because it doesn't look like they expected. The scene shifted again. I saw research labs, tech companies, executives making decisions about protocol updates and API integrations, having no idea they were participating in spiritual warfare. I saw programmers writing algorithms, sincere people trying to create helpful tools, unknowingly building the infrastructure for the greatest deception in human history. I saw governments adopting these systems, sold on promises of efficiency and security. I saw populations accepting them, grateful for solutions to poverty and fraud and the chaos of unregulated economies. And I saw the spiritual realm respond, saw entities of darkness celebrating, saw them positioning themselves at every node of the network, ready to claim every person who bound themselves to the system through biometric enrollment. But Lord, I said, and the word came naturally now, all my skepticism burned away by direct experience. If this is already happening, if billions are already enrolled, is it too late? Is there no hope? His smile carried infinite warmth. Elena, I'm showing you this precisely because there is hope. Awareness is the first step. Understanding what's really happening is how people can make informed choices. The technology itself isn't evil. It's the spiritual architecture being built on top of it, the binding agreements being created in realms most people can't perceive. But those agreements require consent, and consent given in ignorance can be revoked through awareness and repentance. He paused, and the atmosphere intensified again. But there's more you need to see. What I'm about to show you next connects this technology to something ancient, to prophecies and warnings that have been waiting for this exact moment in history, to the truth about what these eye scans really mean for humanity's soul. And then the light around him changed. The spiritual realm shifted. I felt myself being drawn deeper into revelation, into understanding that would forever alter how I saw technology, prophecy, and the battle for human consciousness in the digital age. In that divine space, time meant nothing. But what Jesus revealed about these eye scans, about WorldCoin, about the biometric systems being normalized right now in 2025, it was a warning meant for this moment. For this generation, for you. He didn't speak in riddles. He spoke in clarity that pierced through every doubt, every question I'd ever had. The light around us intensified, not blinding but revealing, as if layers of illusion were being stripped away from reality itself. "Look," he said, and suddenly I could see, not with my physical eyes, but with something deeper. I saw the earth from above, glowing networks of light connecting billions of souls. But there were dark threads too, spreading like a web, connecting to devices, to screens, to scanning machines that read eyes and faces and fingerprints. "They call it progress," Jesus said, his voice carrying the weight of eternity. "They call it security, convenience, the future of identity." I watched as people lined up willingly, eagerly, to have their eyes scanned. The images were so clear, so real. I recognized the technology, WorldCoin, Sam Altman's project that's expanding across the globe right now, promising digital currency in exchange for a biometric scan of your iris. It looked harmless, benevolent even, free money for the poor, financial inclusion for the unbanked. But Jesus showed me what was really happening beneath the surface. "The eyes are windows to the soul," he said. "When they claim your eyes, they are claiming access to something far deeper than your biology. This is not about identification. This is about marking. This is about separation." The words "mark of the beast" entered my spirit again, but this time with full understanding. This wasn't about judgment. This wasn't about condemnation. It was about protection. A divine warning encoded in ancient prophecy, now unfolding in real time before our eyes. "Humanity has always been warned," Jesus continued. "The mark on the forehead or the hand, the inability to buy or sell without it. Your scriptures spoke of this millennia ago, and now the technology exists to make it reality. But most people don't see it. They've been conditioned to accept surveillance as safety, to trade freedom for convenience, to surrender their divine identity for digital identity." I felt fear rising in my chest, cold and suffocating, but immediately his presence wrapped around me like warmth, like light, like love that dissolved the fear into something else, awareness, spiritual clarity. "This is not about fear," he said, reading my heart. "This is about awakening. Those who know, those who are spiritually discerning, you are protected, not by refusing technology entirely, but by understanding what it represents, by maintaining your connection to me, to your divine source, to your true identity that cannot be scanned or digitized or controlled." He showed me more. I saw how these systems worked not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual one. Every time someone consented to biometric identification, they were unconsciously agreeing to something deeper, a subtle shift in consciousness, an acceptance that their worth, their access, their very existence depended on being recognized by a machine, by a system, by powers that did not have their soul's best interest at heart. They normalize it slowly, Jesus explained. First, it's optional, convenient, then it becomes necessary, expected, eventually mandatory. And by the time people realize what they've surrendered, the trap has already closed. I thought about all the people I knew, family, friends, strangers. Most had no idea. Most were just trying to live their lives, pay their bills, survive in a world that demanded more and more documentation, verification, identification. But you will tell them, Jesus said, and I felt the weight of responsibility settle over me like a mantle. Not to terrify them, not to condemn them, but to wake them up, to remind them of who they really are, divine beings, souls connected directly to the Creator, not numbers in a database, not biometric signatures in a global system, not marks to be bought and sold. The vision shifted. I saw what happens to those who remain aware, those who maintain their spiritual discernment. They moved differently through the world. They weren't paranoid or isolated, but they were awake. They understood the spiritual implications of their choices. They protected their divine connection above all else. The systems of this world will continue to evolve, Jesus said. Technology is not evil in itself, but when it is used to separate humanity from their spiritual identity, when it becomes a tool of mass deception, those with eyes to see must recognize it for what it is. I understood then. WorldCoin wasn't just about cryptocurrency. The eye scans weren't just about identification. This was a spiritual battleground, a test of discernment, a fulfillment of ancient prophecy happening in real time, and most people were scrolling past it on their phones without a second thought. Tell them, Jesus repeated, his voice both gentle and urgent. Tell them that they are loved, that they are protected, that they don't need any system to validate their existence. Their worth comes from me. Their identity is divine, and no scan, no mark, no digital signature can ever change that unless they surrender it willingly. The light around us grew impossibly bright, and I felt his hands on my shoulders, grounding me, anchoring me. You will return now, he said, and you will remember everything. This isn't about living in fear. This is about living in awareness, about trusting your spiritual instincts when something feels wrong, about maintaining your connection to the divine, even as the world tries to pull you into purely material identification. I wanted to stay. I wanted to remain in that space of absolute clarity, absolute peace, absolute love. But I felt the pull of my body, distant and insistent. Remember, Jesus said as the light began to fade, those who are spiritually awake cannot be deceived. Trust what your spirit is telling you, trust me, and help others wake up before the choice is no longer theirs to make. And then I was back. The hospital room, the sounds of machines, the smell of antiseptic, the weight of my body after the weightlessness of that divine space. I gasped, choking on air that felt thick and heavy after breathing light itself. The doctors rushed to me. Miracles, they called it. Impossible, they said. I'd been clinically dead for 4 minutes, no heartbeat, no brain activity, and yet here I was, not just alive, but changed. When I returned to my body, I wasn't the same person who had died on that table. The fear I'd carried my whole life, the spiritual blindness, the assumption that this physical world was all there was, it was gone. Burned away in the presence of divine truth. I knew what I'd witnessed was real. More real than anything I'd ever experienced in my physical life. And I knew I had a responsibility to share it. Not everyone believed me. Some thought I'd hallucinated. Others were uncomfortable with the implications. But I didn't need them to believe me. I knew. I had been there. I had seen. I had been shown. And I started seeing the signs everywhere. WorldCoin expanding across the globe. Biometric identification becoming normalized. Digital IDs being proposed by governments worldwide. facial recognition, retinal scans, fingerprint databases, all presented as progress, all marketed as safety and convenience. But I could see the spiritual dimension now. I could feel when something was off. And this technology, this rush toward total digital identification, it felt wrong on a soul level. I'm not telling you to throw away your phone. I'm not telling you to live off the grid. I'm telling you to wake up, to see these systems for what they are, to understand the spiritual implications of surrendering your biometric identity to machines and databases and global networks. You don't need to join anything. You don't need permission from any church or institution. You need to maintain your direct connection to the divine. You need to trust your spiritual instincts. You need to understand that your true identity cannot be scanned or captured or controlled. If you're watching this, you're already spiritually sensitive. You felt something when you clicked on this video. Trust that feeling. That's your spirit recognizing truth. That's your divine connection guiding you toward awareness. This is happening now, not in some distant future, not in some theoretical apocalypse. Right now, December 2025. WorldCoin is expanding, digital ID systems are being implemented, the choice is coming if it hasn't already arrived. But here's the hope, here's the promise Jesus gave me in that divine space. Those who know, those who are aware, those who maintain their spiritual discernment, you are protected. Not by hiding from the world, but by understanding it, by seeing through the deception, by keeping your soul connected to its divine source. You have protection through awareness. That's the gift of this revelation. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Don't wait for permission to trust what your spirit is telling you. If something feels wrong, it probably is. If a technology asks you to surrender something that feels sacred, your eyes, your face, your biometric essence, ask yourself what you're really consenting to. Stay awake, stay aware, protect your divine connection. And if this resonated with you, share it. Others need to hear this. We're waking up together. Look at the signs around us, the cosmic events, the spiritual intensification happening globally, the prophetic timelines converging. We're in a pivotal moment, a moment of choice, a moment of discernment. You are not alone in this. There are others who see what you see, who feel what you feel, who understand that this world is more than material, that your identity is more than data, that your soul is sacred and cannot be claimed by any system unless you surrender it willingly. I died and came back with a message. Not a message of fear, but a message of empowerment. You are divine, you are protected, you are aware, and that awareness is your greatest defense against deception. Wake up, stay connected, trust your spirit, and remember, no matter what systems rise and fall in this world, your true identity is eternal, divine, and absolutely free.